Peter Charles here for Fly Fishing, and today let's look at tying the Cosseboom. Now this is a classic Canadian pattern. It was designed by John Cosseboom in 1923, and it's spawned quite a few variants, but we're going to try the traditional one today. So let's have a look at the materials. Our hook today is a size 4 and a salmon single. We're going to be using white 8/0 thread. Our tag is going to be gold silver mylar. You could also use tinsel for this. The tail and the body is olive floss. The rib is silver oval in a small size. Our wing is gray squirrel, and our collar is yellow saddle hackle. So let's get started with the fly. Okay, we bring it back to the hook point. Now we put in our tag. Now I'm going to leave a long tag to this. I'm just going to place it on the side, and I'll explain why in a moment. Okay, I'm just going to get this out of the way. So you can see I've left some long tags there. In other videos you've seen me either just leave the bump there and not worry about it, or I've gone backwards and forwards with thread to try and fill up the space so that it lessens the size of the bump. I'm going to use a third alternative today, where I'm going to lay my tags along the side of the body where it fills the space left by the return. In that way I will not end up with a bump at the end of the body, and I'll have that return space filled up. Okay, now we're going to put in our tail, which is made out of olive floss. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tie this on top to start off with, because the tail has to be on top. I'm going to double it over and bring it back and put a couple more wraps to hold it. Now you can see I've got a little loop there. All I have to do is cut the end off that loop, and I have my tail. Now for the rib, again bring it over on the side, couple wraps to hold it, and the last step is to put it in the floss for our body. Now I'm going to make a couple of wraps. I'm going to bring this onto the side, and I'm going to make some wraps with my left hand while I hold this over to the side. This gets it oriented correctly, so it's going to stay on the side of the hook. And you might have to make a few adjustments as you go. Pull it down, and then just slowly take your time and work that back. Keep adjusting it. If you have to make a few more left hand wraps, go for it. Keep it all on the side. Sort of like training it to go on the side. When you get close to the return, trim off that excess. Now we put in our floss body. You can see we have a bit of a bump, but it's not bad. Considering all the material we tied in here, that bump is not excessive. Now watch out for your hook point. Keep getting the twist out of your floss. I got one stray in there. This is another floss that's going to have to be replaced soon. It's not exactly the best quality floss. I'm going to stop it right at the start of the return. bit underneath. Clean that up. Now for the rib. Now for the wing, I've stacked my squirrel, and I have not selected a big clump. I want to keep this fairly sparse. I'm going to size it for the length of the hook. And you can see some of those hairs are flaring, so you put a few loose wraps in then and bring it forward. Now I'm going to tie in my yellow quill, and I'm not going to overdress it. Now I want to show you something I've done differently from the previous fly. When I did the purple rat, I brought my wing much further towards the loop of the hook, and I didn't leave much space here, and I wound a lot of the hackle onto the wing itself. So I'm not done that this time. I have left more room. And I'm going to be starting wrapping on the wing, then moving onto the hook shank. Now, you end up with a bit neater head, but you end up with a bit of the white thread potentially showing. If you really slope the hackle back, you can tend to reduce that a little bit. So it's your choice how you want to do this. I could have, in theory, colored my thread yellow at this stage, and it would have helped to hide that. So I'm sweeping my barbs back, always advancing as I go. There's always one or two that wants to be fussy. Now I'm just going to keep that underneath. Tie it off, flip it off. Sometimes you're lucky and you can just break the quill. I'm going to color my thread red and produce my red head to this fly. So I'm going to make sure there's no white showing. And in the process, I'm going to push this yellow back so it hides that white thread that I wrapped over. Okay, now we whip finish. And we're going to apply some head cement. Okay, there you go. We have the Cosseboom. You'll see that by filling in along the side of the hook where the return is, I've been able to minimize the bump. There is a little bit of a one there, but it's not much. We're tying a lot of material on the back end of this fly. So anything you can do to even it up helps. I mean, I could have made a multiple passes if I wanted to and made it even nicer. But I think that's an adequate job for a fishing fly. So there we go, the famous Canadian pattern called the Cosseboom. Give it a try, and I hear some West Coast guys like to use it for steelhead as well. So give it a try. Cheers.